Show them who we are.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and let's go over everything you gotta know before you see Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, I know you've all seen the original movie at least once, but maybe it's been a while, so here's a quick recap of everything you might have forgotten, and you never know, we might learn a little something about ourselves along the way. Now, the story begins 1 million years ago when a Vibranium meteor strikes in what is modern-day Africa. Vibranium is the strongest metal in the universe, and it also has a variety of uses, like absorbing vibrations and whatever else the plot needs it to do. Spider-Man said it best.
That thing does not obey the laws of physics at all.
So, vibranium is more than just any metal, and it begins to affect the plant life in the region as well. Thousands of years later, 5 different tribes settled in this land, and they all fought one another. But then there was a warrior shaman who spoke to the panther goddess Bass, who we see here in Thor: Love and Thunder, and she led this shaman to a heart-shaped herb. Now, the herb was imbued with the power of vibranium, and so it gave this man advanced strength, speed, and healing. Thus, he became the first king of Wakanda and united the tribes as one nation, except for the Jabari tribe, who did not worship Bass. Instead, they worshipped the gorilla god Hanuman. So they retreated into the mountains where they don't live under the rule of the king. Thousands of years go by and vibranium makes Wakanda the most advanced nation in the world, but they kept their technology hidden from the rest of the planet as the continent was plagued by slavery and famine. Now, myths, however, did spread about Wakanda.
Explorers searched for it for centuries. El Dorado, the Golden City.
The years pass, and a genius adventurer slash scientist named Howard Stark travels to Wakanda, but is fooled by the deception that this is just a nation of farmers. However, he does take a bit of vibranium home with him, which he turns into a shield.
The most versatile substance on the planet. And they used it to make a frisbee.
Around this time, a scientist named Erskine gives a GI named Steve Rogers a super soldier serum that turns him into Captain America, and the vibranium frisbee becomes his iconic shield. And by the way, I had so much fun rewatching these MCU movies and shows to get ready for this video, but I didn't just want to watch them on TV, I wanted to make the experience special. So Doug and I watched them on the big screen with my Capsule 3 laser projector from Nebula. They're the sponsor of this video. This is the best portable projector that I've ever owned. First of all, it's very light. It's just under 2 pounds, but more importantly is the image quality. The Capsule 3 projector gives a sharper image than most projectors because it uses laser technology. See, most projectors broadcast an LED image with white light, but this one projects the colors that you're actually watching, and at 300 ISO lumens. In fact, it's 1.8 times brighter than an LED image with the same wattage. Crystal clear picture and Dolby sound quality. The projector also has Android TV where you can download more than 7,000 apps. It's like carrying a smart TV with you wherever you go. Now, because this projector is so light and portable, it is perfect for outdoor movie nights or outdoor game nights using the HDMI input. Its battery lasts for 2.5 hours or just long enough for a movie. Or if you choose to use it just as a Bluetooth speaker, it has a 10.5 hour battery life. This projector is a great addition to your home or a great gift for your favorite movie fan. And right now you can get the Nebula Capsule 3 projector for $120 off with a special deal that is going to end very soon. So if you want to take advantage of this offer before Black Friday, click our link in the description now before this deal ends. Now back to Black Panther. Captain America's best friend was a fellow soldier named James Buchanan Bucky Barnes, who was presumed dead during the war. Now, Rogers fought and defeated a Nazi science group called Hydra, who planned to conquer the rest of the planet.
Cut off one head. 2 more shall take its place.
But it turned out that Hydra wasn't defeated, as their loyal agents infiltrated the American spy agency called S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra secretly brainwashed Bucky Barnes and turned him into a super soldier assassin called the Winter Soldier. In 1991, he assassinated Howard Stark and his wife Maria. Now, this event will have serious repercussions for Wakanda later on. Wakanda, meanwhile, has spent decades or even centuries sending out spies called war dogs, who infiltrate other countries and report back to their king. In the 1980s, the Prince of Wakanda, Njobu, was sent to the city of Oakland, California, where he had a son named Eric Stevens. Now, when Njobu saw how minorities were repressed across the world, he decided to arm them to help them rise up against their oppressors.
All over the planet, our people suffer because they don't have the tools to fight back.
So he found a mercenary named Ulysses Claw and told him all of Wakanda's secrets, including where to steal some of their vibranium. Claw's first attempt was a failure, and the Wakandans branded him with the mark that identified him as a thief.
It's a word in an African dialect meaning thief, in a much less friendly way.
However, his second attempt was a success, and he detonated a bomb, killing many people and stole tons of vibranium. Soon, the king of Wakanda, T'Chaka, found out about his brother's treachery and confronted him.
I want you to look me in the eyes and tell me why You betrayed Wakanda.
He then revealed that he had another agent, Ziri, who was spying on his brother all along. The situation escalates quickly and Njobu is killed, leaving his son Eric Stevens without a father. And King T'Chaka chooses not to bring Eric back with him to Wakanda. But here's the thing. Eric knows the stories of Wakanda because his dad told him all about the secret nation. And he finds his father's ledger, and this makes young Eric begin to form a plan to get justice for his family. Then the years go by and Howard's son's Tony becomes Iron Man and Steve Rogers gets unfrozen from ice and the Avengers assemble to fight alien invaders. You guys know all that. The main thing is that the guy leading the invasion, a space god named Loki, used the scepter to mind control people. And that scepter contained the Mind Stone, one of the 6 all-powerful Infinity Stones that control different aspects of the universe. Also, Captain America finds out that Hydra is part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and brings down both organizations, releasing their secrets to the public. Afterwards, his friend Bucky is freed from Hydra, but his mind control can still be activated with just a few code words. Now, that alien invasion left Tony with a bad case of PTSD, and he becomes obsessed with building an AI that can stop the next alien invasion. So then the team raids a Hydra base where they discover that Mind Scepter, which Hydra used to give superpowers to somebody named Wanda Maximoff. More on her in just a bit. Tony and his best friend Bruce Banner use this scepter to create an AI named Ultron. Then Ultron, typical movie robot, turns evil and then actually teams up with Wanda Maximoff. But what about her brother Pietro? Doesn't matter, he dies.
You didn't see that coming.
Ultron meets up with Ulysses Klaue, who has been apparently unable to sell his Vibranium for the past 20 years. Ultron buys the Vibranium but takes off Klaue's arm. Then Ultron uses the Mind Stone and Vibranium to create a new body for himself that the Avengers steal, and that body eventually becomes an entity called the Vision.
I'm sorry, that was odd.
Ultron uses the rest of the Vibranium to elevate the capital city of Sokovia, that's where Wanda's from. He's doing this so he can turn the city into a meteor, but then the Avengers stop him at the cost of many, many lives. Afterwards, the Wakandans feel guilty about this because their stolen Vibranium was used to destroy Sokovia. So they take the lead in signing the Sokovia Accords, which would place superpowered people under government jurisdiction. King T'Chaka goes to the Accords signing with his son and 2 of the Dora Milaje. And what's the Dora Milaje? They are the badass female bodyguards of the king.
Move, or you will be moved.
This one is named Io, and we'll see more of her later on. Now, the Accords divide the superhero community, and these divisions are exploited by a man named Zemo. Zemo is a Sokovian and a former Special Forces soldier whose family was killed by Ultron. So he blames superpowered people for creating the murder bot in the first place.
The very concept of a super soldier will always trouble people. It's that warped aspiration that led to Nazis, to Ultron, to the Avengers.
Now, because all of Hydra's secrets are now just out there for people to discover, Zemo finds out that Bucky killed Tony Stark's parents, and also he learns how to control Bucky. So he sets a plan into motion to break up the Avengers forever. He bombs the signing of the Sokovia Accords, but frames Bucky for the crime. The bombing also killed King T'Chaka, so his son, T'Challa, swears to bring Bucky to justice. In response to the terrorist bombing, a special agent from the CIA, Everett Ross, is tasked to help apprehend any superheroes in violation of the Sokovia Accords, especially anyone helping the suspected terrorist Bucky Barnes. Now, this whole thing sets off a superhero civil war where Captain America wants to stop Zemo from getting to any of Hydra's remaining super soldiers, and Tony just wants to arrest Bucky for the bombing. T'Challa, as the Black Panther, joins Iron Man's side because he thinks that Bucky killed his dad. So a big fight breaks out, most of the heroes are arrested, the Vision cripples Rhodey, Tony's best friend, but Tony decides to help Steve and Bucky find these super soldiers. But aha, as soon as Zemo's cornered, he reveals that Bucky killed Tony's parents. All the heroes fight each other, the Avengers break up, and T'Challa learns the truth about his father's death. So he stops Zemo from killing himself.
The living are not done with you yet.
Afterwards, to make amends, T'Challa brings Bucky to Wakanda so his sister Shuri can find a cure for his mind control. T'Challa returns home for his father's funeral and his coronation as king. On the way there, he stops in Nigeria, where a war dog and his ex-girlfriend, Nakia, is helping women who are being trafficked. T'Challa stops the traffickers and takes Nakia back to Wakanda, but they do abandon these women in the wilderness. Just saying. Nakia urges T'Challa to be a different kind of king than his father, and to share Wakanda's resources with the rest of the world.
What would you have Wakanda do about it?
Share what we have.
To become coronated as king, T'Challa first has to accept any challenge to the throne in ritual combat. This is when the reclusive Jabari tribe come down from the mountain so their leader M'Baku can challenge for the throne.
What are you doing here?
It's challenge day.
Now, T'Challa wins despite not having the powers of the heart-shaped herb, and afterwards he is re-given his powers and meets his dad on the spiritual plane.
Baba.
T'Challa's sister Shuri is a scientific genius who has made him some cool new gadgets in her lab. However, their cousin Eric Killmonger has been very busy for the past few years. He became a brilliant student, studied at MIT, and then joined the CIA and Special Forces. Eric killed so many people that they called him Killmonger. Killmonger teams up with Ulysses Klaue to help him steal Vibranium from a museum. And afterwards, Klaue tries to fence the Vibranium to a CIA operative, Everett Ross. But the deal is intercepted by Black Panther, a Dora Milaje named Okoye, and Nakia, and then a chase ensues. Klaue now has a robot arm, and Shuri drives a car remotely. Oh, and by the way, not just any car, a Lexus. They prominently show Lexuses all the way through the movie, so I guess I should mention that. Anyways, they get Klaue, who tells Ross all about Wakanda.
What do you actually know about Wakanda?
But Killmonger breaks Klaue out of jail, shooting Ross in the spine. So to save Ross's life, T'Challa takes him back to Wakanda with him, where Shuri heals him in her lab.
Bullet wounds don't just magically heal overnight.
They do here.
Back at Wakanda, T'Challa's best friend and leader of the border tribe, W'Kabi, is pissed off that he couldn't apprehend Klaue.
With you, I thought it'd be different. But it's more of the same.
Klaue killed W'Kabi's dad back in the 90s, and he was really hoping that T'Challa could arrest him in his first week on the job. Instead, Killmonger shows up with Klaue's body, earns W'Kabi's loyalty, and tells everyone who he is.
What? You?
Hey, Auntie.
Killmonger then challenges for the throne, beats the hell out of T'Challa, and chucks him off a waterfall. Afterwards, the royal family escapes with Ross, Nakia, and one of the heart-shaped herbs. Meanwhile, Killmonger gets the power of the heart-shaped herb and has his own heartbreaking reunion with his dad.
I gave you a key, hoping that you might see it someday. Yes, the sunsets there are the most beautiful in the world.
And notice that even though the ancestral plane is outside this window, Eric is still trapped in the apartment because he has never overcome the trauma of discovering his father's dead body. Killmonger orders the other heart-shaped herbs burned and announces plans to lead a global uprising against white governments that oppress Africans.
They'll arm oppressed people all over the world, so they can finally rise up and kill those in power.
Okoye and the Dora Milaje are forced to serve him because they have sworn loyalty to the king, while W'Kabi just agrees with him. And by the way, W'Kabi and Okoye are an item.
My king. My love.
So, in the land of the Jabari, the royal family brings the last heart-shaped herb to M'Baku so he can get powers and challenge Killmonger. But instead, he reveals that he actually has T'Challa's body and that T'Challa is just barely clinging to life. So, they feed the herb to T'Challa, who stands up to his ancestors.
Our future dependent.
You are wrong!
And then T'Challa returns to Wakanda just as ships carrying Wakandan weapons are being launched.
What's up? I never yielded!
Meanwhile, Ross remotely pilots a ship to shoot down the weapon transports, so Tim is helping too. So civil war breaks out between two sides. The border tribe have sided with Killmonger, and the Dora Milaje have sided with T'Challa. When all looks lost, the Jabari join the fight on T'Challa's side, so W'Kabi is forced to yield rather than harm the woman he loves. During the fight, Shuri even battles Killmonger with her electric gauntlets, but the real battle here is between Killmonger and T'Challa. This time, T'Challa wins, stabbing his cousin in the heart. Now he offers to heal Eric, but he refuses.
Bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships.
Afterwards, T'Challa realizes that his family made a mistake by neglecting his cousin, and by extension, they were mistaken to neglect the outside world. T'Challa begins international outreach programs headquartered in the very building where his cousin grew up, and announces their advanced technologies to the UN. And he and Nakia are a thing again. Now, according to the book The Wakanda Files, by sharing their science with the outside world, Shuri also shares her nanotech with Tony Stark, which leads to advancements in his Iron Man suits and the suits that he builds for Peter Parker, whoever the hell that is. Shuri also begins to try to synthesize the heart-shaped herb with her brother's blood, and that research allows her to help Bucky by purging the psychotropic drugs from his system. Now he lives a life of peace in Wakanda, where he is nicknamed the White Wolf. Io forces him to listen to Hydra's brainwashing words to prove that they no longer have any effect, so he can begin the road to healing himself and making amends.
You're free.
But then, a big purple alien named Thanos begins to gather Infinity Stones so he can use them to snap away half of all life in the universe for reasons we don't have to talk about now. Remember, one of these stones is Vision's head, and Wanda Maximoff could destroy it with her powers, but that would also kill the Vision. And she's fallen in love with the guy.
I just feel you.
So Captain America leads a few of his outlaw friends to Wakanda, where Shuri can remove the stone, and everyone else fights Thanos' army to give her more time.
How much longer, Shuri?
I barely began, brother.
You might want to pick up the pace.
The Wakandans give Bucky a new arm, so he joins the fight against the alien army, and the battle is epic. The heroes do really well for a while, killing all of Thanos' forces, but then the big guy himself shows up, kills the Vision, and snaps away half of all life in the universe. And this includes T'Challa and his sister Shuri.
This is no place to die.
Afterwards, presumably, T'Challa's mother Ramonda rules over Wakanda, but Okoye coordinates with the Avengers about how they can continue to protect the world. 5 years later, the Avengers snap everyone back and the Wakandans join the final fight against Thanos, but a Thanos from another timeline.
So this is the future. Well done.
The battle cost Tony Stark his life, and afterwards Steve Rogers goes back in time to grow old with the woman he loves. Now, after this, a hero named Sam Wilson is trying to track down a terrorist group called the Flag Smashers, so he and Bucky break Zemo out of jail to enlist their aid. This gets the attention of Io and the Dora Milaje, who want Zemo brought to justice for killing their king. The Dora embarrasses the hell out of the new Captain America, a guy named John Walker, prompting him to take super soldier serum, which does not end well. Now, Bucky turns Zemo back over to the Dora Milaje and asks them for one last favor, to make a new Captain America suit for his buddy, Sam Wilson. And finally, at some point before Wakanda Forever, Prince T'Challa passes away, leaving his nation vulnerable to attack from outside forces.
We know what you whisper. They have lost their protector.
Well guys, that's everything you have to know before Black Panther Wakanda Forever. If you have anything that I missed, let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe or smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.